Hello. I'm going to be sharing another dream that I had on February 1st, 2018. And this dream was about demons. And I hadn't had a dream like this before. I mean, I've been attacked by what I call darkness, but in the spirit. And but this was actually physical creatures, like in the earth environment, like real life environment, earth environment, where everybody could see them. And these creatures were coming out of two portals. There was one on the ground, and then there was one up in the sky, like just a circle of darkness on those. And this is where the creatures were coming from. They looked like birds from far away. You know, they're solid black. You know, everything was black on them. So far away, they just looked like blackbirds flying. But when they got closer, you could see that they were like actual like demon creatures. And, you know, they had claws, they had huge wings. Their face, though, wasn't like a bird. It didn't look like a bird. It was just looked like a monster. Like, you know, just everything was black, just solid black. And there were people that were out in the world, and then there were people that hid because they understood the signs and the warnings that they were getting. So for a time, they hid for a little while. And after a certain period of time, they decided they needed to come out to help. They wanted to help the ones out in the world. They wanted to bring them to safety. And I call them the Anointed. For some reason, just in my mind, it is the Anointed. And these are people that believed in God. They trust in Him, have faith in Him. They know Jesus. They know His Word. And they obey what He tells them to do. And so anyway, they decided that they needed to go out and help. You know, they wanted to help and bring these people into safety. So they walked out in faith, not knowing if, you know, they would die or not with these creatures. But they would go out and they would bring people in. And when they would go out to bring these people in, the creatures would see them once they got out in the open, and would, of course, fly to try and get them. Just kind of grabs them up with their claws and takes them away and devours them. So, but when they would get close and the Anointed was with that person, once they got within a certain amount, you know, certain closeness of them, they would hit like a barrier, some kind of a barrier that was around them. It'd be like flying into them, smack, and then they just fall to the ground dead. And then the ground would like just suck them back in. No noise, they would just kind of almost melt, just completely disappear into the ground. And at first the Anointed didn't know what was going on. They were like, what? They were just glad the creature, you know, didn't get them. So they would bring people in. But what they didn't notice, but I noticed that, you know, watching or, you know, seeing this dream from my point of view, is they had oil on them. And it was like drops of oil, almost like they were sweating oil. It started with a little bit on their head. And then the more they went out and brought people in, the more oil that was on them. You know, the more they went, the more they got, the more protection they got. And it would just be, they'd walk out and these creatures would come at them, and they were just smacking into the barrier and falling down and soaking back into the ground. And it just, you know, they could just stand there boldly, and these creatures would come at them and they would not be able to touch them at all. People were like starting to believe in them. And then there were some people that were like, oh, they can do that, then we can do that, you know, thinking they could do it on their own strength. And so they tried to go out to help other people, bring people into their side, or wherever they were, but they would get devoured. They would get caught and be devoured, and it wasn't helping. They weren't able to help them or save them. So And so the anointed were able to save many people and bring them in and share their faith in God. And they were able to save these people. And like I said, the more they went out, the more anointed they would become. More oil they would come on there. Until they were like, they would walk out and they'd be completely soaked, like if they were showered in the oil. And just soaking wet with the oil, and they could just walk wherever they want and not be able to be touched. And so this was, like I said, this was a different dream. And when I woke up, well, actually still in the dream as it was going on, for some reason in my head, the song, All My Hope Is in Jesus. I don't know if you know that song, but I was saying it, and I was singing it, but I was singing, all my faith is in Jesus. I don't know why I was, singing it on that. And when I woke up on this, I was actually speaking in tongues, like speaking. I didn't understand the language I was speaking, but I was speaking it. I was like, what? And so I tried to write it down really quickly, like what I was saying, because I didn't know what I was saying when I was saying it at the time. I woke up speaking it, and so I wrote it down how I was speaking it. I don't know if it's the correct spelling or not, but however I was speaking it is, sounding it out. That's how I was writing it on there. And after I wrote it down, I started understanding the words, what I was saying, and it was weird because I could say this almost like forward and backwards, and it would mean the same thing. It was, my God, here is my King, or my King, here is my God. And it was like the words King and God are the same. They're one on there. So anyway, I don't know why after I wrote it down I understood it, but when I was speaking it, when I woke up, I didn't know what I was saying. I just thought that was interesting and awesome. I've been wanting to speak in tongues. I've only done it twice. One when I first met Jesus, and he was speaking to me. I was understanding him and speaking. We were communicating that way, but I would understand it in English. That was awesome. But I don't think I mentioned that in my dream when I talked about when I first met him. But yeah, so that time, and then this time here when I woke up, this was the second time. And my friend's like, you're speaking in tongues. I'm like, but I can't do it at will. Some people can just do it at will, like pray in tongues, and then they just pray in tongues. And I'm like, I can't do it at will. It's like, I haven't gotten to that level yet, I guess. I don't know. But I pray for it, and we'll see. But I just thought that was pretty interesting too, that after this dream, I woke up speaking in tongues and saying that, and it's pretty awesome. I think it's a warning of some kind, I'm assuming, that it's just about believing and having faith in God that he's going to help us through the dark times that are coming. And there are people being devoured by demons, and they're getting turned from toward the darkness instead of toward the light. And we need, as believers, true believers in Jesus, and know that he's real, we need to be trying to save them and bring them to Jesus, bring them to the light as much as we can. I know a lot of people are like, I'm ready to go. And I said that in the beginning when I first met Jesus. And when I first met him, I was like, yeah, I'm ready to go now. But that wasn't what he wanted me to do. I understood that I needed to try to bring people to him. That's what we need to do. And that's what he wants us to do. He loves us all. You know, he loves us all. It's not he loves me more and he loves you more because you believe. No, he loves the unbeliever and the sinner. Well, all of us are sinners, you know, but every sinner, every person, he loves equally. He loves equally. Just because we believe in him doesn't mean he loves us more. He has joy in us because we do believe in him and we do love him, but he wants all of us. He wants every human on earth. He wants us. He loves us all. And so I know it's part of all of our jobs to try to bring people to him. Always in love. You want to bring them to him and try to save him. And knowing his word and having faith in him and knowing he's there for you, we need to share that with others. And the way we act also. We want to make sure that we're representing how Jesus is as much as we can, because we're never going to be perfect. We aren't. We just aren't. No matter how much we try, but we're not going to be perfect like Jesus was. But we can try. We can still, you know, offer kindness and soft words and love, even though it's hard sometimes as humans to try and, you know, forgive another person, or somebody talks bad to you, so you want to kind of like back. But, you know, just try to, you know, okay, Jesus loves that person. What can I do for that person? What can I say to that person? Or, you know, you may not be able to say anything to that person except have a blessed day. You know, Jesus loves you. Something just to plant a seed. Plant a seed of Jesus, and Jesus will make that seed grow. We can't make it grow. Some people are seed planters, some people are waterers, and God, Jesus only can make it grow. We cannot make the seed grow. So his will be done. And so anyway, this dream was pretty different. And again, any insight, I'm always open for comments, insight into this. My dreams, like I said, I can interpret them, but I don't know if I'm doing it correctly or not. How I'm seeing it, I love, you know, if you can make some comments on here, and you know, your point of views, those with more experience or more knowledge. You know, they've maybe been having these dreams and visions longer. You're going to know more than me. And so I welcome them. Have a blessed day. Jesus loves you.